I said to the guards, this is unnecessary, you don't have to escort me out, I will leave willingly, and besides if I were going to kill anyone I would have done it already, I'm no threat to your people. And then the guard said, Alexander told you to leave sir, I suggest you do it. And then I said very well, goodbye, and then I teleported in front of Victor and he said and asked welcome back. So did Alexander Corvinus deny them entry, and then I said unfortunately he didn't, he allowed them asylum sir. And then Victor said damn old fool, and then I asked Victor what now, and then Victor said now we wait and see if Alexander or his sons try to attack us. And I asked Victor, if they do then what? And Victor said then we retaliate. We strike back without restraint and crush them. If Alexander Corvinus or his sons attack us first, then it will be war. And then I said, sir, if I may, do you think that Alexander Corvinus has a backup plan of some kind? Since he is allied with the humans, do you believe that maybe he will expose our existence to the human race to destroy us? And then Victor said, I need you on standby, James, because you are the only one that's proved himself the strongest commander, the only one that's worthy enough to lead my people. And then I asked Victor, do you think Marcus and William will retaliate against us? And then Victor smiled and said, it's not a question of if they will retaliate against us, but when, and when they do that we must be prepared for it. So I'm going to make sure that humanity is our friends before we do this. And then I asked Victor, who do you think will listen to us first? And then Victor said, we will speak to scientists and doctors first. And then I said, I have a suggestion sir, if I may. I've been working on something, the development of new technology. I've made the perfect nanotechnology and the perfect androids, and I've even made true artificial intelligence, and we could make a fortune off of these new androids that I've designed. And Victor said, amazing, show me one of these androids. And then I brought Victor a perfect replica of his daughter, and then Victor asked me, what is the meaning of this? And then I said, she is an android replicant of your daughter and she's in her likeness, but she's not your daughter. And then the android walked up to Victor and said, I'm at your service sir. And then Victor said, fascinating, she looks so real, how did you make them? And then I said, I made them using synthetic genetic material, in other words they are entirely man-made and they can even procreate and have children. Basically they are human synthetic DNA on top of a type of mechanical metal skeleton, and they are designed to live forever. And then Victor asked me, so she's not really my daughter? And then I said, yes, she's not really your daughter, but she does look like her. And then Victor asked me, what exactly are you implying, James? And then I said, well, I'm implying nothing sir, she's designed to be a servant. And then Victor said, you can have her, but I want another female android, one that looks like my wife but younger, could you make that happen? And then I asked Victor, do you have a picture of her or some type of painting? And then Victor said, come with me. And then Victor showed me a painting of a very beautiful woman with black hair, and he said, you can take the painting with you. And then Victor said, I want this done before the end of the day. And then I said, yes sir, it shall be done very soon. And then I went inside my magical pocket dimension where my hyperbolic time chamber is located, and I began the process of making Victor's android wife. And it didn't take me very long to finish everything because I have infinite power and omnipotent technology inside my pocket dimension in my hyperbolic time chamber. And while I was there waiting, I had sex with the android I made that looks like Victor's daughter, and my machine scanned the painting and made an exact android copy of Victor's first wife, and I even gave her all the memories of Victor's wife. And while I was having sex with the android that looks like Victor's daughter, I noticed that she feels everything like a human. And then I said, interesting, and I made love to the cloned lookalike of Victor's daughter. In every sexual position I made love to her, but unlike all my wives, she doesn't have to eat or sleep. So I told her to go take a shower and then go to sleep on my couch, and she said yes sir, and then she did everything I told her to do. And after about 4 hours Victor's wife was ready, and then I took the android to Victor, and Victor was astonished by what he saw, his beautiful wife alive again. And then I said, she has her memories and everything, if that's what you want. And then Victor said, yes, that's what I wanted. And then I said, android, activate everything. And then Victor's android said, commencing activation in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Android memories now active. And then her eyes opened, revealing beautiful brown eyes, and then she asked, Victor, is that you, darling?